He's garnered over 60,000 followers across TikTok, LinkedIn, and Instagram. He's also gotten several millions of views. So if you were to start from, let's say, 0 followers tomorrow, what things would you maybe change? Like,
if I were to start from 0,
what is the most amount of money you've made off a piece of content?
Most amount of money? Oh, so the most amount of money I've gotten is
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to episode 3 of the College Creator Podcast, where we discuss the stories of college-age individuals taking the often uncomfortable yet exciting path of bringing their ideas to life. Now, whether you've been doom scrolling on TikTok or you've been more productive grinding for that internship on LinkedIn, there's a pretty good chance you've seen Aidan Ouckama's content. He's been making content for about CS and software engineering for the past few years, and he's garnered over 60,000 followers across TikTok, LinkedIn, and Instagram. He's also gotten several millions of views. So yeah, really excited to have you on, Aidan.
Thank you for having me, Nicole.
Yeah, for sure. So actually, it's interesting. When I was sort of looking you up, doing a bit of research before this podcast, I realized you'd already been on a few podcasts before, and I was like, damn, a lot of the questions I want to ask you have already been asked. So I'm gonna try to do a mix of previously asked questions and hopefully some more entertaining and intriguing ones.
Okay, sounds good.
All right. So first topic I want to talk about is early years for you before even coming to college. So from what I've researched, you mentioned that you first got introduced to technology from a robotics camp that your busy parents sort of just dropped you off to. And so sort of through that serendipitous introduction to robotics, you got more interested in software and web dev and other things.
Yeah, definitely. So actually, it started a little bit before that. I think I said that on the other podcast, right? But I didn't tell them about, I actually used to do Scratch back in like 5th grade, Scratch MIT.edu, all that stuff. And the reason why I really started CS was because like there's this girl in my 5th grade like elementary school class, and she was like really into Scratch. So I like tried to impress her by making a bunch of Scratch games, and one of them like blew up. And by blew up, I mean like 3,000 views or something. So didn't really blow up, but she thought it blew up, and she was like, "Oh my god, I love this game!" And then I put her like Minecraft skin in the game, and then she like, and we got together for like a month, and then But yeah, that's how I really started. I really started with Scratch in 5th grade, and then I did that robotics camp and like did the hardware software bit. And then when I got into high school, I started doing like web dev, React, Next, all that stuff. And then when came college, I had like that web dev foundation, and that's why I applied like really early, like sophomore year. Yeah, that was my whole CS roadmap, I guess.
Cool. So my man had the Scratch rizz back in elementary. That's crazy. All right. So were there any other majors you were considering besides computer science when applying?
I don't really think so. I think I was pretty locked in on CS. I think I think COVID was the eye awakener, because like I just had so much time with just me and my computer and my room. So I mostly took that time to like do web dev stuff, game development stuff. So then when came college, I was like, okay, I love this stuff. I did it for like 2 years during COVID. I think I'm going to major in it.
Sounds good. So you sort of mentioned Minecraft, right? And that's where you first got your kick in content introduction, right? So how was the engagement with that when you first started?
Yeah, when I first started, I mean, I got like no engagement. I was pretty much just like pumping Minecraft Let's Plays, and they'd get like 20, 30 views per video. My family really liked it. My friends really liked it. So that's mostly why I did it. Not really because I wanted any like recognition or anything like that. But yeah, that really started it all, because I started learning how to edit videos, how to record videos, how to like present myself on camera and stuff. So then I guess I tapped into that when I started doing the TikTok stuff.
For sure. Yeah, I feel like I'm at that point, practicing those editing and presentation skills. So
exactly. Yeah.
All right. So now transitioning more into college. I guess because there's some CS majors that watch this, before diving more into the content side of things, I want to talk about internships, because you've gotten, these big name internships at pretty top companies that a lot of people would like to intern at. And so I want to know, like, there was this blog I read where you said there was no referrals or stuff like that you needed, which is pretty surprising to me and probably a lot of other people, right? So talk about how you're able to leverage your branding, whether that be through social media, resume, projects, and stuff, to land those internships.
Yeah, definitely. So I guess how I viewed applying to internships back when I was, applying to DoorDash, Datadog, stuff like that. I sort of viewed it as like there's two different ways to do it. The first way I feel like was the way I didn't really do, where it was referrals, cold emailing, getting connections, building connections. And usually when you do that, you usually put a lot of work into like 10, 15 companies, and then really try and get as many networks and connections as you can within that company so you can get a referral and all that stuff. And the second way I feel like I partook more in, and it was just mass applying anywhere you could, not really putting too much work into cold emailing and networking. Honestly, like, it's up to you to choose which like sort of path. I mean, yeah, which sort of path that you want to take. Like, if you're better at networking and stuff, then like take the network path, try and build connections, cold email if you're really good at that. But personally, I wasn't very good at that. I just I knew I had decent experience enough where at least like one company will say, like, get back to me if I apply to 200 companies. So I was like, okay, I'm not too good at networking. I'm just going to apply everywhere and pray. And some people might say, that's not as good of a path. But personally, I think if you have good enough experience, you could just mass apply everywhere. You don't have to take the time to network with the 10 companies. Yeah, it's up to the person, in my opinion.
Yeah. Yeah, ultimately it is a numbers game, like a lot of people say. So
exactly.
Yeah, mass applying, could definitely work. Okay, so on that same topic of CS internships, I want to do this quick little segment where I'm going to just drop a few topics. You tell me if it's underrated, overrated, or fairly rated in your opinion.
Okay.
Okay. The first ones we kind of touched on, but that's referrals.
Mm-hmm. Underrated, overrated. I mean, I'm biased. I think they're overrated. I feel like you could get by without those. But again, like, it's based off of your personal, like, you have to do a self-reflection of yourself. Like, do I have the experience to mass apply? Do I have the experience to not do referrals? It's up to you. But I think they're overrated. I don't think you need them.
Fair enough. Fair enough. What about LinkedIn posts?
LinkedIn posts? It's tough to say on that because a lot of people like hate LinkedIn influencers or whatever, quote unquote, they call them. But I personally think, again, I'm super biased. I think they're underrated because like the LinkedIn is so easy to game and just it's so easy to get recognition on that. It's like with social medias like TikTok and Instagram, you actually have to put a little bit of effort into content and like putting the right hashtags and stuff like that. But dude, LinkedIn, you could just say like, I got an offer here, and you'll get 1,000 likes and like 1,000 followers. It's like so easy to game. And the recognition on LinkedIn, like the ROI in terms of like internships and like recruiters' eyes, like it's the best social media out there to get recruiters' eyes on you. Like the ROI is super high in my opinion. But yeah, I'm super biased, but that's my thing.
Mm-hmm. No, that makes sense. And I've heard you previously say that even recruiters and people have reached out to you, right? From your like LinkedIn content, maybe.
I haven't had recruiters reach out. I've had recruiters, if I'm in a process, they say that they recognize the name.
Okay.
I haven't got a direct reach out, but it looks like maybe some of them have put me through because they might have recognized the name.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, helps you stand out. Yeah,
definitely.
All right, the next one I want to ask you about is undergrad research.
Ooh. Did you hear I did during the research? Did you see that I did that? I'm going to say underrated because in my opinion, I think there's like stepping stones internships. I've seen some guys, get, I don't know what, like Microsoft, Google, like off the bat, maybe. But I feel like for a normal average, like progression to internships, usually you need like stepping stones, like TA, undergrad research. And that's why I personally did. I did TAing and undergrad before I did DoorDash and Datadog. So I think it's a good stepping stone because the barrier to entry is a lot lower. So I think it's underrated.
Yeah, for sure. I've heard that companies also like when they see especially maybe underclassmen that have TAs or research on their resumes. So
right, definitely, yeah.
Yeah. All right, the last one I want to ask about is career fairs.
Oh, I'm so biased in all these questions because I'm gonna say overrated but that's only because my career fair sucks ass. And I've only seen like 5 out of 1,000, 2,000 students get an internship off those career fairs. But I guess it depends on your school. I would say like if you go to a really good school, definitely go to those career fairs because I'm sure they actually put time and effort into those career fairs, unlike my school, unfortunately.
Yeah, I feel like that's a fair assessment. It depends really on the companies that come, and also you got to game it to some extent because there's going to be so many people, so you got to show up early and all of that stuff.
Exactly.
All right, so we're going to sort of dive more into your influencer life and content. Okay, so this is the juiciest question I have. It might make you squirm a bit, so bear with me. And that is, what is the most amount of money you've made off a piece of content?
Most amount of money? Oh, so the most amount of money I've gotten is definitely from a TikTok video because I think that's like the only social that I have decent, revenue from. I think it was from there's a skit. Okay, it was back when I did CS skits, and it was like trying to fit in with the CS majors or whatever. That series made me bank because each video was more than a minute long, and they like decently went viral, like 100K views or something like that per. So you get paid $1 per 1,000 videos. So for that series, I think I did a 3-part. It was like $300 from that, like three 1-minute videos. So pretty good payoff, I feel like.
I see. Cool. Well, yeah, thanks for your honesty.
Of course.
Yeah, I feel like you could do a lot more numbers as well on YouTube, maybe. Right?
I've been trying YouTube. I've been putting out like Microsoft vlogs, but those are only like once a week. I don't know. I need to figure out something where I can post more than one video a week on YouTube and figure out like a pattern with that. But yeah. Oh, also with like TikTok, I guess like brand deals. If you're talking about brand deals, I've made, I think like it's about 200, 300 per brand deal, especially if it's a very niche, like a lot of AI companies, like AI job applications, they offer a lot of money for very niche content creators.
I see. That makes sense. Yep. Okay, so I believe you started making content in your first year, right? And perhaps you had this push from you had already been making Minecraft content at the time, but what else would you like say like gave you that push to start making CS content?
That's a good question. I think majority of the reason was because of the Minecraft stuff, because I knew I loved making content. I knew I loved editing and like all the process of making a video and posting it. I guess like the other sort of new thing in my life was college itself, like doing a CS major and like doing my first year of college. I would say like I didn't really have as much time to do Minecraft. Like I didn't want to goof off my first year and just play Minecraft all day and post videos about it. So I thought like a good, what is the word? A good way to do both is to make CS content, and it's like the best of both worlds, where I'm making content as well as learning about my major, learning about internships, stuff like that.
So how long did it take for you to sort of get some initial traction? And do you remember like what kind of pieces of content were they?
Yeah, it took a bit. I think I was posting for like a good, like 3 months, 4 months before I actually got a video that did well. Because the first like few months I was doing really cringe like CS skits that like are still, if you scroll like far enough, you'll find them. But the first video that I know went viral was when I was in my English class. It was just a super short. This is why I realized like TikTok, you do not need to put effort in like videos. You just need to pump out stuff. This is when I realized. I made like a stupid, like I put the camera to my face, just like stared at it for a few seconds, put some text. It was like, I just finished my English class. They gave us a homework assignment, and it was like the homework assignment was go outside and like sit by a river and enjoy nature. So I made a TikTok about it. I was like, dude, my teacher just told us to touch grass for a homework assignment, and I'm a CS major.
Yeah.
And that blew up. That did like what? I think it's like 300K right now or something. And I was like, okay, this is TikTok's algorithm. Cool. I'll just pump out stupid shit like this. Yeah. And then when I really started getting traction, I talked about it before, it was the CS major like skits. A lot of people really like those. So I kept doing skits and like staying in the CS niche after that.
Yeah, I feel like the more relatable the content is to the greater chances it has of blowing up, maybe, you know?
Exactly. Relatability is like super important. I think it's like relatability, educational content, and emotional content are all like the three very important pillars.
Mm-hmm. For sure. Yeah. And I think the other thing that's really nice is, especially in these corporate settings, everything seems so serious at times. So
Yeah.
when you get someone who's just like posting about what everyone's thinking, you know, it's just like a breath of fresh air, you know?
Right, exactly. I think like LinkedIn is a super good example of that. Like LinkedIn was just a bunch of what, like I divorced my wife. Here's what it taught me about B2B. Like who's reading that, you know? So I felt like, it needed some not as serious content. And that's when I started posting Fortnite posts. Not too proud of that, but it worked.
Okay, so obviously a CS major is fairly rigorous, and given that you didn't immediately see some explosive growth, can you talk about the struggles of balancing both the CS academic workload with content, and then also maybe not initially seeing some explosive growth you might have hoped for? How are the emotions along the journey?
Right. So I think it's honestly like one big giant like optimization problem. So like as I was not seeing as much growth, I wouldn't put as much effort into it. But the only thing that stayed consistent throughout it was consistency. I was consistently like doing a post at least like every 2 days, every day. But in the beginning, it wasn't as like I didn't put as much effort into it. I just like recorded something, put it out, and I was like, okay, we'll see if it does well, see what sticks. And as stuff started sticking, that's when I started to see more growth. So I started to put more effort into the videos and trying to figure out what would work. So like once that stupid one with like I put my face there, put like CS majors needs to touch grass. I was like, okay, that kind of worked. I'm going to start thinking more in that realm, put more effort into it. So then it was just, yeah, consistently like finding a balance between the effort that I'm putting in and the growth that I'm seeing and the time to like think about the content that I'm doing. Um, and as I, did better and better, I started putting more effort and more effort.
All right. I like that answer. Like a true CS major in optimization.
Right.
First step is the difficult part. So for an underclassman who's has like imposter syndrome, wants opportunities but doesn't feel prepared, what is a good first step you would recommend for them to build their personal brand?
That's a good question. Yeah, I definitely agree. The first step is definitely the hardest one. I was lucky enough to like start early, so I already had like the heebie-jeebies of social media. Already went through that phase. But I feel like the first step, and that I think it's a first step that I've been seeing a lot of content creators take, which is good, and that's like just documenting your progress. Like, there's not any really like serious thought you need to put into it because it's just recording what you're doing that day or like what you've been doing. And it's like it's something that I feel like a lot of people like to see, like especially a CS major in like the application process or whatever. There's a lot of people in that realm. They want to see what other people are experiencing. So a lot of CS majors I've been seeing have been like posting about the things that they've been applying to and the results of them. Like, have I been rejected? Have I been accepted? Or like, this is a CS class I've taken and I want to kill myself or something like that. I think, yeah, documentation content is really easy to make, but as well as like, there's a large audience within that niche that would love to watch that content.
For sure. Yeah. And another thing I want to ask you, once again, for maybe someone else who wants to get started into this whole social media and branding space. So
Yeah.
if you were to start from, let's say, 0 followers tomorrow, what things would you maybe change? Like, what kind of quote unquote mistakes would you have avoided, and then maybe some different, strategies you would have tried?
No, that's a really good question. If I were to start from zero, um, I think one thing I talked about it like before. I think the biggest thing about social media to me at least is how consistent you are with it and like being able to just wake up and no matter what happens that day, be able to pump out at least a video or something. Just put yourself in front of the camera and just pump out a video, even if it's bad or like crappy. Make sure you're doing at least one a day. I feel like that's something I lacked when I was first starting. And there's definitely like there were opportunities that I had were like a series of videos blew up, and I was like, okay, if I ride this wave, I can like do pretty good numbers. But then I didn't. Like something happened that day. I didn't post a video. I didn't post for like a week, and then all of a sudden the hype dies down. It's really hard to like keep up with the hype, especially with social media, because it's always moving. It's always up and down. So I think the main thing for me is if I were to start from zero, just making sure I have a schedule, like a Notion page or something where I write down ideas, like being more organized about it and being a lot more consistent with it. I feel like if I did that from day one, I would be in a much better position than where I am now with social media.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, consistency is often the hardest part, right? Because you're going through so many emotions. There's always something that comes up that seems more important.
Yeah.
But yeah, something I struggle with, but it is very important for sure.
Yeah, especially social media. Like, who's prioritizing social media, you know? But it's just something you got to do if you want to grow and like treat it as a job and stuff like that.
For sure. Yeah, well, I think those are my main questions. So yeah, appreciate you coming on, Aidan. Thank you guys for watching this as well. Yeah, and if you want to shout anything out for the few people who watch this.
Sounds good. I guess I'll shout out my TikTok at Ouckama if you guys want to check me out, and also same on YouTube. I haven't started to post like Microsoft stuff there if you guys want to check it out. But don't worry, I'll share this podcast with the gang and I'll make sure they all see it. So
Appreciate it, man.
of course,
You're
no
a real
problem.
one.